Hello everyone, this is Ghost Hunter Joe. The video you are watching was recorded in Granville, Ohio, a small village about 35 miles to the east of Columbus and 7 miles to the west of Newark. I lived in Granville from approximately 1962 to 1971. The title of this video, My Granville Haunts, is actually a play on words, with haunts referring to my old stomping ground, so to speak, as well as possible paranormal or ghostly activities. Ooh. But before we get into any of that, I would like to take a little trip down memory lane, and I promise I'll eventually get into ghostly matters before the video ends. In May of 2023, my godson Thomas and I visited Granville and checked out my old haunts. This is what my childhood home on Mulberry Street, where I lived from 1962 to 1967, looks like today. This is what it looked like when I lived there. Notice that it was white, trimmed in black, and the large porch was glassed in. And this photograph was taken around 1964 with my maternal grandmother and me and 14 of my cousins. I'm the one in the front, sitting next to my grandmother, circled in red. And this picture was taken in 1966 in my backyard with two girlfriends from across the street, Beth and Leslie. I'm friends with Leslie on Facebook after all these years. And in case you didn't notice, I was playing Batman using a towel for a cape. And this is what my childhood home on Thresher Street, where I lived from 1967 to 1971, looks like today. This is what it looked like when I lived there. It was white with black shutters, had a big pine tree in the front yard, two front doors leading into two living rooms off of the front porch, and had an open breezeway leading from the basement to the garage, which is now enclosed. This is my mother, brother, two sisters, our three dogs, and me posing for a picture in front of the house. I'm the one wearing the cardigan and necktie. This is my kindergarten building, which was right next to the elementary school. There were two kindergarten teachers who each had a morning and afternoon session. The grassy area and covered sidewalk were not there when I attended. It was all a blacktop parking lot and play area, which joined with the elementary school's playground. My kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Drake, and her classroom was located on the left side of the building. I believe I read somewhere that she recently celebrated her 100th birthday and had retired after teaching kindergarten for 50 years. This is the Granville Elementary School, at which I attended first, second, third, and fourth grades. My first grade teacher was Miss Shepherd, who married during the school year and became Mrs. Charles. My second grade teacher was Mrs. Armstrong. My third grade teacher was Mrs. Baker, and my fourth grade teacher was Miss Alexander. This is me in front of the Granville Elementary School when I was in first grade. This is one of the rare occasions that I didn't walk home from school because I got picked up from school because we were going to visit my cousins who lived in Shelby, Ohio. In 1970, Granville built a new high school, and the old high school became the new junior high school, and the old junior high school, Union School, which is actually located 2 or 3 miles south of Granville, was used for a novel educational experiment. Accordingly, my fifth grade class got the whole building to itself. We had 4 teachers, Mrs. Loomis, Mrs. Fox, Mrs. Clark, and Miss Thompson. All 4 fifth grade classes were taught in the gymnasium at the same time, typically led by Mrs. Loomis, with the other 3 teachers watching over us from the sides and rear. Other than the cafeteria, which was in the basement, we didn't use the rest of the building except for when we had math, during which we were divided into 4 different classrooms, which were divided into 4 different levels of instruction according to our mathematical abilities. My experience at Union School had such an impact on me that I still remember our school song. Each morning when I start to school, I get up on the bus with a happy feeling in my heart without a fight or fuss. We travel down the open road with all the rest of us until we reach our school. Union, that is where I study. Union, where I meet my buddy. Union, my home that's never far from home. When I visited the school in May of 2023, I learned that the Union School building, though no longer called Union, is still in use as a private school. I had an interesting conversation with the people who operate it and told them how my brother and sisters had attended junior high school there and how I attended 5th grade there during the 1970-71 school year. One of the things I will always remember about attending Union School is that there was a cemetery located to the east of its parking lot and where the school buses dropped us off. I have always remembered this cemetery with sadness because the headstones were skinny, non-ornamental, and nameless, marked only with impersonal numbers. Thanks to the internet, I have learned that this cemetery is called Union Station Cemetery or County Home Cemetery. There are 323 nameless individuals buried in the cemetery, but clearly there are not 323 grave markers to identify the graves, let alone the occupants of these graves. I took this photograph of the cemetery from the north facing south after receiving permission from the school officials to park the red racer along the drive next to the school. The following is video I took of the Union Station Cemetery during the daytime. This is the Union Station Cemetery, and as you can see, it's not well kept, but it is nice and peaceful out here. I don't know how peaceful it'll be at nighttime. Let's take a little walk and look at some of these graves. They're all covered up with grass. I just spoke to some people that run the school, and they said that the city takes care of it, the city of Granville. But they obviously don't take a real good care of it. If I recall, when I went to school here, there was several rows of graves. Now there only seems to be like one row of graves. Wow, I found all these headstones leaning up against this tree. Apparently they moved them so they could mow the grass. They don't have names on them, just numbers. Apologize for the video being such poor quality, but I'm stepping in holes. Kind of hard for me to walk. This is an old headstone at the Union Station Cemetery next to the school I used to attend in Granville, Ohio. As you can see, the K2 meter is lighting up like mad. I haven't even said anything. All I did was turn it on. Is anybody here with us? I noticed it stopped lighting. Can you light the meter up to indicate that you can hear me? Thank you. Thank you. Are you buried here? You are? Okay. Are you male? Light up if you're a male. Or are you female? You're male? Thank you. Okay, we're going to go look at some other headstones, okay? It was nice talking to you. Okay, let me go check somebody else out, okay? Okay, we're at another headstone at the Union Station Cemetery, and the K2 meter is lighting up for it too. Can you light up to indicate that you acknowledge me? Bless you. Okay, are you a male? Light the meter up if you're a male. Okay, light it up if you're a female. Are you a female? Male. Light it up for male. Okay, thank you. We're going to go to another headstone. Okay, we're still at the Union Cemetery near Granville, Ohio. And we got the K2 meter leaning up against another headstone. Can you light it up to indicate that you acknowledge my presence? Okay, can you light it up if you're a male? You're male? Or are you female? Are you male? Light up once for male. Okay, light up if you're female. Okay, don't light up if you're female, and light up if you're a male. I know, I'm pretty confusing. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going to go to another headstone. Okay, we're at another headstone at the Union Station Cemetery. And I see that the K2 meter is lighting up again, indicating that there's a spirits with us. Are you a male or a female? Light up if you're male. Light up if you're female. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're at the Union Station Cemetery near Granville, Ohio, and we're using Thomas's necrophonic spirit box. Can you say hi to us? Are you buried here? What's your name? What's your name? Are you male or female? What year were you born? What year? What year did you die? What year did you die? How old were you? How old were you? You get a lot of visitors out here? You're bored. Okay, I'm going to walk around and take some pictures, okay? I'll talk to you later. Hello, Eddie. This is Joe Clark. I don't know if you remember me or not. We were friends in elementary school. I went to school with you from kindergarten to 5th grade, then I moved to Florida. And I moved back to Ohio, and I met you briefly at a party in Granville. You kept calling me Joey Brown. I was Joey Clark, but you were a little bit inebriated at that party. I've got a device, and if you touch it, it'll light up, and we can communicate. So I'm going to set it at the base of your headstone, okay? Give me a second. Okay, can you touch it and make it light up? I see you lighting it up. Can you light it up one more time so I can make sure it's you? Okay. Do you remember me? Light it up if you remember me. Okay, stop lighting it for a second. Stop lighting it for a second. Stop lighting it so I can ask you a question, okay? Okay, are you at peace? Light the meter up if you're at peace. Okay, that's good to hear. Do you get a lot of visitors? Your brother come out here? I see that you ran cross country and track, as well as your brothers. So did I. I ran down in Florida at Rockledge High School. You did pretty good with the Granville Blue Aces, I understand. Did you also like the music and art and theater? Were you in the theater? Do you remember seeing me at that party and calling me Joey Brown instead of Joey Clark? Okay, you keep lighting the meter, but I'm not exactly sure. Are you trying to tell me something? Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time or you take up too much of your energy. I'm going to have to come back with a friend of mine who has a spirit box that you can actually talk to us with. Okay? Would you like that? Let me ask you a few questions about school. Do you remember going to Union School? That was the last year I went to Granville schools, was at Union. Do you remember Mrs. Loomis? And Mrs. Fox? Mrs. Clark? Miss Thompson? Remember Mrs. Loomis's old Edsel she used to drive? Okay, I'm going to let you go. Talk to you later. It was good talking to you. Okay, bye now. Flicker if you want to say goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye. Is the Union Station Cemetery just south of Granville, Ohio, haunted? If there ever was a place it should be, in my humble opinion, it certainly should. Its 323 occupants were treated poorly in life at the county home and seem to continue to be treated poorly after death. And those who still have headstones are not even recognized by their names on the headstones. I'm willing to bet that the nursing home administrators and county officials were honored with much better final resting places, but I digress. With respect to the upkeep of the cemetery, one would think that the village could at very least invest in a weed whacker and trim the grass around these headstones when they mow. But is the cemetery haunted? We did seem to receive intelligent responses with the K2 meter, but was that due to the electrical wires above head, as can be seen in this photograph? Were they high enough off the ground to not affect the K2 meter, which was sitting on the ground? And since spirits can allegedly draw energy from batteries used with ghost hunting equipment, and or the ionized air after an electrical storm, who's to say that drawing energy from overhead electrical wires isn't a legitimate or practical way for spirits to effectively communicate with us, if they can indeed communicate with us? And did my childhood friend Eddie communicate with us from his grave at the Maple Grove Cemetery? Unlike the Union Station Cemetery, there were no overhead wires here. If he did communicate with us, I was glad to hear that he was at peace. Contrary to everything we are always told about suicide, both Eddie, who succumbed in 1979, and my friend Ben, who succumbed in 2012, have indicated after death that they are at peace. In any event, I would never recommend this as a solution, no matter what one's problems in life may be. And this is Ghost Hunter Joe saying goodbye for now, see you next time, and happy hunting.